welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. I'm Davia Chambers coming to you from downtown Scarborough. Now our team has been out and about covering the length and breadth of the island to bring you the major stories taking place right here in beautiful Tobago. As usual, in the next half hour, we'll bring you up to speed with all of the details. All you've got to do is sit back and relax because Let's Talk Tobago starts right now. It's another first for Tobago. This time, the island provided much-needed pediatric hyperbaric treatment. The National Gas Rebate Incentive Program has been relaunched to benefit registered fisherfolk and ultimately the consumer. The Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service receives a timely donation. And later, a popular pro footballer gives back to her community with a youth tournament in Speyside. We have all these stories and more for you when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Stay with us.
There we go to Tobago, that paradise, Wamba, Robinson Crusoe, and it is said it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world say, come to Tobago for holiday. Smile, let we smile in Tobago. That paradise, Wamba, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the
Earlier this year, staff at the Roxborough Hyperbaric Unit successfully treated David Goddard for the bends, also called decompression sickness. Now they've taken up the challenge of being the first in the Caribbean to provide hyperbaric oxygen therapy for a minor. We'll tell you more about him and why he's getting that kind of treatment in our first story. Have a look.
6-year-old Jaron Phillip is the first pediatric patient being treated at the island's hyperbaric chamber for his seizures. Jaron began suffering from seizures when he was 18 months old. The seizures have delayed his development, so much so he needs assistance carrying out simple functions like drinking a cup of water. Over the years, Jaron's dad, Keston Phillip, did a lot of research into hyperbaric oxygen therapy as a possible treatment for his son's seizures. Mr. Phillip is hopeful that the treatment at Roxborough's hyperbaric chamber will have positive results for his son.
At some point in time, you get to understand how oxygen therapy works. It gets into the hard places. And so we're hoping that the oxygen will get into those dead areas whatsoever is causing the seizure, and healing and restoration will take place. And when that happens, whatever is causing the heightened electrical activity will no longer cause him to have those cognitive problems. And so we are hoping to see him run again, ride his bike again, walk again, even hear him call his brother's name again. We're looking forward to that.
In the first phase, Jaron will undergo 15 sessions of hyperbaric oxygen therapy in the hyperbaric chamber. This kind of treatment for a child has been applauded by medical practitioners such as Dr. Tyler Sexton, Director of Caribbean Hyperbaric Medicine. For over 2 decades, Dr. Sexton has specialized in pediatric hyperbaric medicine in the United States.
So what is so incredible about Tobago embarking on this is you have taken a stand to say we believe in pediatrics, we believe in quality care and expanding evidence-based medicine and continue to look for ways to impact populations. But it is an incredible opportunity to touch the pediatric population as there's a vast array of illnesses that can be positively affected with hyperbaric medicine.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is used to treat many ailments such as decompression sickness, also called the bends, diabetic ulcers, and other types of wounds. Spending time inside a hyperbaric chamber increases the concentration of oxygen a patient receives, which leads to faster healing. The medical professionals at the hyperbaric chamber unit were commended for the work they continue to do in providing quality health care to all of their patients.
It's always a friendly one, a welcoming one, and also You know, Mr. Hines, when you speak with him, he gives you a sense of assurance, you know, and confidence that he is the right person for the job. And so I thank God for Mr. Hines and for all the work that he has been doing in the background, even when I was willing to give up, you know, so I thank God for that.
We have confidence in Mr. Hines and his team and their ability to deliver. The record speaks for itself, so let's go through the process, and we are all here to lend support to the family and to pray and hope for the best result.
Jaron's medical team will continue to monitor his health as the sessions go along. This medical care is an encouraging first step to the possibilities for other children with similar conditions. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
A donation was made to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tobago Division by the U.S. Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago and the American Chamber of Commerce. They provided 12 electronic bikes to help boost the island's security response. Here's more in this story.
The U.S. Department of State Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, through the U.S. Embassy Port of Spain, donated 12 electric bikes and one solar-powered electric bicycle charging station valued at US $61,200 to the TTPS Tourism-Oriented Police. The American Chamber of Commerce, Trinidad and Tobago, also donated a second charging station valued at US $9,000. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob says the handing over of the 12 electric motorbikes coincides with the rollout of the Directed Patrol Policy as outlined in the TTPS Operational Plan 2020 to 2024.
The main districts in Tobago will be zoned for mobile patrols, and the grid system currently adopted by our Traffic and Highway Patrol branch in Trinidad will be replicated with adjustments which are unique to Tobago.
These e-bikes will assist the Tobago Division to patrol larger tourist destinations area more frequently and improve the incident response time.
This is a project to demonstrate what is possible and to highlight how the specific actions we take in our daily lives can reduce the footprint we leave on the environment. This project is also a chance to improve community safety for citizens and visitors.
Every little thing that contributes and goes towards making this place cleaner, safer, healthier, and to achieve that, making the police more present, more energized, more professional, more available to the citizens, particularly when we need you, is really refreshing to my soul.
According to Chief Secretary Honorable Fali Augustine, the tourism industry has been facing security threats such as terrorism and crime. So this donation is quite timely.
And not so long ago, I pointed out that the next fleet of vehicles we will be bringing in Tobago will be electric vehicles. I did not realize that it would be bicycles. But we are happy to have these bikes that are environmentally sound, that fits into our model of a green plant and green island, green tourism, a green economy. And we are happy that with these inputs, our officers will be able to discharge their duties much more efficiently.
And at the heart of this initiative is the Tobago Operational Center, which was opened in November 2021. ACP McDonald Jacob says the officers will now be equipped with an additional 20 body cameras and 80 more will be distributed at the end of July. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
The National Gas Rebate Incentive Program was restarted by the THA's Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries several weeks ago. It's a refund incentive providing support to the island's fisherfolk. If you're in the fishing industry, find out how you can access your rebate in this next story provided by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development.
We have restarted the gas rebate program on Tuesday the 31st of May. The aim of the program really is to provide an incentive for registered and active fisherfolk by returning a small percentage of the monies that they would have spent on oil and gas throughout the year. This is to encourage the progress of the industry. Receipts, invoices, bills for the purchase of gas and oil that would have been used specifically for the purpose of commercial fishing will be considered. The receipts must date from the 1st of January 2020 to present. Firstly, your engine must be registered. You need to bring in your boat ownership card, your fisherman ID, the receipt for the purchase of the engine, and your national ID. After that, the Fisheries Extension Officer will schedule a visit to your landing site where she will register your engine. You want to start that now?
Yeah, I think I get all the documents here. The extension officer that came and stamped my engine already.
Oh, so you did it already, this process already?
Yeah.
Now that you have registered your engine, you are ready to do the gas rebate process. You must be a registered fisherman and your fisherman ID must be valid, which means it is not yet expired. You must have a vessel registered in your name, and the boat ownership card must have your name, the name of the vessel, and the TFT number. You must also have a receipt of ownership or a letter of gift. Your form of photo ID, which is your national ID, your driver's permit or your passport, and it must be valid. Submit a proof of address. This is either a utility bill or a bank statement, and it cannot be older than 3 months. It must have your full name and your address. All the invoices from the gas station must be specifically for the purchase of gas and oil for commercial fishing. Seeing that your engine is over 40 horsepower, you can claim for 27,500 liters of gas per year, or 6,875 liters per quarter. And for oils, if the oil is mixed with fuel, you can claim at a rate of 1 gallon of oil to 8 gallons of fuel. And if the oil is not mixed with fuel, you can claim at a rate of 1 gallon of oil to 30 gallons of fuel. The good thing is, all the gas stations throughout Tobago have been officially informed, and they would have agreed to assist fisherfolk in completing the quota cards and the fuel purchase forms. If you have any further questions, queries, concerns, feel free to contact the department at 639-4446 or 639-4354.
The Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries is super excited about the relaunch of the gas rebate program. Fishermen have been made aware of the various criteria that needs to be met, and with an MOU with the gas stations around the island of Tobago, Tobago fisherfolk would soon be getting a gas incentive program re-established where they can now see returns on their sales. Fishermen, though the incentives may not seem like large numbers, still would be benefiting from 12 cents, 10 cents and 75 cents for gasoline, diesel and oil respectively. So the department looks forward to the continued collaboration with all fisherfolk, all associations and all persons influenced by the fishing industry in this program moving forward, and we wish for nothing but the best.
It is time for a break, but when we return, we'll share with you the do's and the don'ts if you encounter the giant African snail. It's coming up next, right after this break. Stay with us.
Come, there we go to Tobago, that paradise, Bamba, Robinson Crusoe, and it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world sing, come to Tobago for holiday. Smile, Larry, smile, Larry, smile in Tobago, not paradise, Bamba, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Ronald Reagan say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now Bill Clinton say, come to Tobago for holiday. If you want a happy vacation, you can get it right here in my land. If you want a happy vacation, you can get it right here in my land.
Not all snails are created equal. In fact, some like the giant African snail can wreak havoc on the agricultural sector. It also poses a threat to public's health. In this next story, Omadara Mills shares why this is a potential problem for Tobago and some do's and don'ts when it comes to dealing with this type of snail. Take a look.
This piece of property at number 1 Lambo Orkinscure is currently under quarantine. That's due to the sighting of the giant African snail in the area. The snail species has been contained, but the area will be under surveillance for several years to ensure complete eradication. This is one of 3 reported locations in Tobago where the giant African snail has been sighted. The other 2 areas were successfully treated, but ongoing eradication efforts suggest that the presence of this pest is a serious concern for the public. Casey Marie Boucher-Koon, Plant Protection Specialist in the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, explains why.
It's very prolific. That means it multiplies quickly and makes large amounts of young. In addition to that, it also is the vector of the rat lungworm, which can cause meningitis in humans and other ailments in domestic animals like dogs. The giant African snail, once the population begins to explode, easily becomes a public nuisance, as we have observed in the sister isle Trinidad.
The giant African snail is a deep reddish brown with cream and yellow longitudinal stripes along the shell. This snail eats more than 500 species of plants, including lettuce, pawpaw, and various herbs, so it can easily hamper the agricultural sector. Those who traverse between Trinidad and Tobago should be especially mindful. Carefully check the undersides of vehicles, since the snail can attach itself to the undercarriage. Casey Marie also has some advice on the kind of pesticides that can be used to eliminate the pest.
We ask that you take the additional precaution of treating your planting material with the active ingredient thiodicarb. This is a pesticide that is effective at killing snails and eggs. This pre-treatment before returning to the port to come back to Tobago will help us 100-fold in preventing Tobago from becoming overrun by giant African snail.
There are other methods of treating with this pest. The plant protection specialist tells us how.
If you should encounter the giant African snail, you should cover your hands, whether it be gloves or a plastic bag, before handling them, and place them in a salt or bleach solution. And that mixture is 2 cups of bleach or 2 cups of salt to 1 gallon of water. And you will drown them in that solution for a minimum of 24 hours. After the snails are dead, the best means of disposal is to contain them and burn them.
Eradicating the giant African snail is everyone's business, so early reporting and intervention is extremely important. This will help the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development eliminate the presence and threat of this snail on the island. If you're interested in joining the eradication team or want more information about the giant African snail, call the Plant Protection Unit at 482-7528. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago-born international professional football star Kenya Yaya Kodna is on a break after a long season in the Turkish Women's Super League. She made sure to give back to her community, the village of Speyside, by hosting a recent 7 versus 7 football tournament. Here's more.
The key to turning dreams into reality is action. Those words define the steps of Kenya Yaya Kodna as her dreams of making it as a professional footballer became a reality. Having made it to the professional level, Kodna returned to her home village Speyside recently to give back to her community. The talented Yaya, as she is fondly called, hosted her inaugural 7v7 football tournament for boys and girls under 17. And it was a success, according to Yaya. Kodna also did not hesitate to thank fellow villager turned Chief Secretary of Tobago, the Honorable Fali Augustine, for his support of the tournament.
It all started for me at the age of 6, right here in this Speyside recreational ground. If you turn your head and you look over to the hills, that was where my grandmother lived, where I grew up. So every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I will just leave home knowing that I have chores and go on the field and just kick rocks, bottles and sticks, because I didn't have a football then. And to grow into the footballer that I am today, I took it upon myself with some of my friends to come back and give back to the community of Speyside. The tournament on the whole ran smooth. Everybody enjoyed themselves. I had positive feedback. Yeah, well, I would like to say thanks to Mr. Fali Agustin, because without him this tournament would have never been possible. And knowing that both of us is from Speyside and he came on board big time to help out with everything was really my heart.
Corner added that this tournament stemmed out of kids not having the opportunity to showcase their talents, and as such, she wanted them to know that their talents weren't going unnoticed. And out of this first tournament, opportunities will arise for talented youth from this island of Tobago.
In the years to come will be much bigger and better, because teams outside will want to take part, because from this last tournament that I had there, a team from Canada will contact me because they want to take part in the next one, which is next year, same time. We'll have scouts there to scout the talent of the older boys.
Chief Secretary Fali Agustin was also on hand to show his support for the tournament and encourage the youth that there is a lot of benefit to gain through the sport of football.
This facility, I want to congratulate you all for a job well done. Came to Speyside, you played hard, you performed well, and the benefit of this exercise is that I want you all to understand that there is a lot of room to progress and growth in football.
Connor also used the opportunity to leave some words of advice for the youth.
I always say sky has no limit, and once you believe in something, you go after it. You put your all in it, because there's a lot of people out there who will tell you that you're not good enough, and you have to say to yourself, I am good enough. And the opportunities is there, is for you to go out and take it.
The tournament was held at the Speyside Recreational Grounds in Speyside. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
Now, plants have various health benefits. We just have to understand how to use them. In this next story, we tell you about a seminar that gave Tobagonians greater insight into the medicinal purposes of different plants, including some herbs that are readily available. Here's more in this story.
Herbs and spices like rosemary, thyme, and nutmeg add flavor to many dishes, but they also have significant medicinal value. That was the focus of this Herbs and Spices seminar spearheaded by the Kendall Farm School. The two-day workshop saw just over 50 participants learning about the health benefits of various plants. Many of them found the course an eye-opener.
The knowledge of the medicinal purposes of those plants that we grow up with that we take for granted. Alright, stanfern is so powerful, but you just take it and you stamp it on your hand. You have a tattoo, an immediate tattoo, and that was fun when you was growing up, but you didn't know the real purpose of this plant. So it's interesting. This would be another way to deal with some of those illnesses without having those harsh side effects.
Once we put the knowledge to use, it can be very beneficial, not just for self, but so many people are suffering with all types of ailments, and more and more, as you were saying, doctors will give you remedy for the symptom, not the cause at times. These herbs will help us live longer and more healthier lives.
The sessions also included some practical elements as it relates to irrigating different types of medicinal plants. Technical Field Officer Potter Bruno gives some insight into that aspect of the course.
What I want to show them tomorrow, God willing, is how they could commercialize a venture like that. So I will be putting in an irrigation system on a bench using spaghetti tubes and spikes and stuff like that, right? On the outside there tomorrow, God willing, I want to lay down a drip irrigation system then we will plant according to where the drips are.
It's expected that the participants will put the knowledge into practice, whether it's to start a business or to improve their health.
We would like to stimulate agribusiness in Tobago, right? Herbs and spices, something, as I would have mentioned before, we use every day, not just in our meals but also for medicinal purposes, right? Simple agro-processing like green seasoning, pepper sauces are things that we can stimulate, the public and empower them. It would stimulate small businesses within our communities, within Tobago on a whole. In so doing, we are going to promote revenue generation within our island.
This seminar was the first in a series of agricultural courses taking place during the July-August period. The other topics include water and drip irrigation, systems and techniques for water conservation, as well as ginger production. For more information, people can call the Kendall Farm School at 660-4395. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we have to take another break, but don't go away. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Climate change is a hot topic issue, and countries like Trinidad and Tobago experience its effects a lot harsher than larger countries. Understanding this, the government continues to take steps to mitigate and adapt to the changes. In this next story, Omadara Mills has highlights of the discussions held with several stakeholders in Tobago. Take a look.
Continued global warming as a result of greenhouse gas emissions doesn't just mean a rise in sea levels, loss of land space, and damaged infrastructure along the coastline. It also has the potential to destroy our coral reefs and all that's with them. Impacts like these will have a ripple effect on our livelihoods and lives. So a Tobago-based sensitization session facilitated by the Environmental Management Agency, EMA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Planning and Development is timely. The discussions focused on ways in which the country plans to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by a cumulative 15% in 3 sectors: power generation, transport, and industry by the year 2030. Stakeholders also learned about the agency's monitoring, reporting, and verification system. It's a digital data collection system where officers from the various THA divisions and environmental groups will put in information relating to factors such as fuel use and the amount of waste sent to the landfill.
Having this type of system, it ensures that Trinidad and Tobago is monitoring, reporting, and verifying the information based on international standards. It ensures that appropriate mitigation measures are being implemented in line with the Paris Agreement. It allows us to track any support we may receive in terms of like climate change policies or actions. A major one is it promotes reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, and it also allows for the collaboration of the entities involved.
The information gathered through the EMA's monitoring, reporting, and verification system will provide statistics for the country's national communication and biennial reports. The data collection will also inform climate change legislation that will be created in time to come. The country's actions in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions stem from commitments made at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement.
We need now to track these emissions and to design a system where we have to now comply with reporting obligations under the Paris Agreement, the so-called transparency reporting, because you now have to account to every other country in the world and the world at large as to what we are doing and why we are doing it and whether we are achieving it.
Close to 20 people participated in the consultation held at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. Some shared their thoughts on this kind of climate change awareness session.
Sessions like these are very insightful. It puts the technical stakeholders in a position to learn from each other while giving us the information we need to take back to our various areas of interest.
I think they're really excellent initiatives as part of the global community. We also are impacted by what is happening in the world, and we could make a contribution in terms of how to address the situation and mitigate against any deleterious effects.
It's hoped that there'll be continued collaborations among all the sectors in implementing the necessary climate change measures that will lessen the impact of greenhouse gas emissions and help us adapt to the changes in our climate. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we've come to the end of yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and a productive week.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you in the Caribbean and those of you viewing us on the live. Good morning, Julian. It's
Good
Thursday.
morning, Maria. It's Thursday.
And why do I love Thursdays?
Because we're heading on into Friday. So that's always a beautiful time indeed. Ria, there's been the Heritage Festival has been going strong indeed. We saw the Pembroke Salaka Feast taking place live here via Tobago Updates, giving persons coverage for those who may not have been there in person. I understood that you passed through at some point during the day.
I passed through yesterday morning, and I'll tell you that by 7:15, 7:30, things were already, getting warmed up in Pembroke there. So the police ensured that there was sufficient parking that would have been on my left hand, the left side coming down from the east, ensure that there was sufficient parking for persons in that nice big car park area that was recently established just a few years ago. You could have heard the drums and the music in the background at the heritage site. So, a lot of exciting things. Of course, persons already started to arrive by that time, I guess, to ensure that they got good seating and good space to see what was happening. So, certainly things were, going well.
Yes, and then we look forward heading on into Let's Go to today, this evening, for persons who are excited and ready, and that transitions from, obviously we recognize that this is a shorter period for the celebrations that we're accustomed to, but certainly looking forward to the activities and initiatives. So tonight we head on in to Let's Go to, and we also have the combination happening last night. And I suspect we may get some Youth Wednesday captures on that by the time we get to next week. Great Fete.
Well, you never know.
The Great Fete events, Welcome Wednesday, started off last night, and a full, longest weekend as it is defined, happening. So we look forward also to that lineup. Tobago is very busy and quite active. I'm going into this weekend as well, straight into our emancipation celebrations come next week, Monday.
That's right.
So a very interesting time ahead here in the Tobago space.
Definitely, and we have to remind the viewers that yes, there is a shorter period of time for the Heritage Festival this year. Persons would have gotten very used to the 2-week plus period, but it was a very condensed festival this year. So they have to pay attention to the next few days, because you never know what you're going to miss if you don't.
It's happening faster than you think. All right. So viewers, at this point, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
All right, thank you, Julian and Ria. And here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, 28 July, 2022. Events are energizing Trinidadians to visit Tobago, but flights to the island remain challenging. The Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association said their bookings are lower than expected because visitors cannot book flights. They explained that the success of any event depends on people being able to attend them. While the inter-island ferry service is available to Trinidadians, THTA noted that many guests prefer flying rather than sailing. They are again calling on Caribbean Airlines to increase flights to the airbridge immediately. Meanwhile, the Great Fete weekend kicked off last night with their Welcome Wednesday events. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine stated he treasures the ability to be democratically elected into office, especially after the attempted coup of 1990. At the inaugural wreath-laying ceremony in remembrance of the attempted coup, Augustine said he owes that privilege to the heroes who risked their life, like former President and Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson. He explained that Robinson and many other Tobagonians were instrumental in developing the country, and they must be recognized and celebrated. There are plans to include honoring Tobago's heroes at next year's Tobago Day celebrations. And now for some national news. There are no recorded cases of monkeypox in Trinidad and Tobago. However, the Ministry of Health is not waiting to implement protocols. Persons with detected cases of monkeypox will be placed on a 3-week quarantine. This is so because the incubation period for the virus is between 5 and 21 days. They will be administered medication to control fevers, while severe cases will be treated at the Coro Hospital. In the meantime, travel restrictions will not be imposed on the country. However, the Ministry of Health is closely monitoring the situation. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And it is back to you, Ria and Julian.
Thank you so much there,
Thank you very much there, Candice, giving us an insight into what's happening there in the news, the combination local and even abroad, Ria. At this point, Ria, we prepare. Oh, how could I forget, Ria? As was designed this morning. Shirt, courtesy Laverne Simon. I'm sure I caught you there.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it's a different kind of festive print as we head on into the emancipation celebrations before we go into what might be standard type emancipation wear. So I'm feeling the shirt today.
Definitely. But I just have to put a plug here as well for just my size. And as we're still into that the Heritage Festival mode, and as we approach the 1st of August, which is Emancipation Day. For those of you who are looking to dress the part, you can check out Just My Size. They've still got loads and loads. I tell you, you don't want to miss out on it, okay? And they've got that sale continuing on as they continue into July. So everything Christmas related, Christmas decorations still going at $9. So as of August, boom, the prices are going to go back up. Yeah. So you can check them out. And if you want to keep that nice Afrocentric hairdo going, you know, for the festive season, you can check out Hair Sanctuary. They've got all your hair needs, wig, weave, braid, you name it, and accessories. All right, so you can check them out as well.
I can't forget at all, my barber, Classic Cuts by Akilan, are located down there in Susulands. Susulands indeed. Don't worry, folks. Today, Ria has restricted that natural hair look for us. I have told I haven't seen her with this kind of restriction before. But
in a long time.
She's going to give us probably a kind of surprise tomorrow, Friday, as we head on in to Emancipation taking place on Monday. Viewers, we are heading into the birthday segment. Birthdays at this point, and we start with celebrations for Roxanne Phillips.
Celebrating her birthday.
Yes.
So happy birthday going out to you. And this is Minister Roxanne Phillips, might I add. So love going out to you this morning.
Imagine I've interacted with her through her place of work, as well as in connection with her son involved in youth development work and so on. Amazing mom with that level of energy and commitment. Congratulations and happy birthday going out to you, Roxanne Phillips. All right, and this gentleman is no stranger at all.
No stranger.
to Tobago.
I tell you, and Julian, I was digging. Colin says, let me be honest with you. I was digging into your Facebook profile this morning, looking for and he has a lot of nice pics out there. But the internet was really messing me up.
Yes, giving us that kind of challenge.
Yeah, got on to the best that I could.
So we want to send birthday shout-outs going out to Collis Hazel out there in Roxborough, continuing also to do his bit exceptional work in the youth and community development. And, we want to say commendations and wishing you a happy birthday, Collis Hazel.
As well, there were a couple others who needed to be on the program, on the lineup this morning. But the internet again. So we have former Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham, celebrating his birthday as well today. So love going out to you this morning, Sheldon Cunningham, and my very good friend out there, originating from Roxborough, Tobago, Dale Hercules, no stranger to my era. All right. So happy birthday going out to you as well, Dale Hercules. I want to take the opportunity very quickly, though,
Just before you head on in there, let me also shout out on the East End as well, Moylin Williams, as we would have celebrated a birthday. Want to wish you a happy birthday. And yes, we couldn't forget at all. We weren't here for Youth Wednesday, and I heard the celebrations rise yesterday, but I also want to send out birthday shout-outs to Cassie.
Yes,
send out birthday shout-outs to Cassie. I think Aliyah said it quite ideally yesterday. This is the lady responsible for us all.
Yes,
so I want to send our birthday shout-outs as well to Cassie. Something tells me we are seeing her briefly this morning, but the celebrations will continue into the long weekend.
That's right. But on a more somber note, we've got to send out condolences this morning to the Davidson Eastman family out in 10 Chains, East Tobago, and this is on the passing of Officer Kern Eastman of the TTPS. I don't even know what to say, but
and indeed, it's important to know the young officer. Kern Eastman on the passing, and we really want to send out condolences to the entire family.
Definitely.
This is not easy for us here as we continue to experience, by no stretch of the imagination, but we certainly want to send out our condolences coming from, our families and the Tobago Updates family. All right, viewers, at this point we prepare to give you a sense of what's happening in the rundown this morning. Rhea Richardson George. No, she's not on the rundown. But Rhea, who do we start with this morning?
I love how he says it, viewers. Always love how he says it. So coming up to start us off this morning on the program, we will be chatting with Kenneth Thomas, who is the Labor Relations Officer of the People's National Movement. He's going to chat with us on some recent developments. Within
you have to put it plain in area. PNM people are Tobago people
That's
too.
right.
And I know you can come and give me the Tobago dialect.
Definitely.
All right.
He even said, Tobago people are, all right. So, but he's coming up on the program first.
All right. And then we have, of course, we're in the Heritage Festival season. We will be chatting with Jessie Taylor, Cultural Officer too, within the Division of Tourism. And we're speaking the Tobago Heritage Festival, the micro market. And there is no doubt in my mind we're going to see one of those outfits from the wardrobe of Jessie Taylor as well this morning in this Heritage Festival season.
Never a dull moment. To close us off this morning, we will be chatting with Sheridan Kirk and Kelsey Toussaint Reed, and they both represent the Zenith Athletic Club, and it's about their registration drive. So for those parents who've got, you're looking at your children, getting involved in it, and opportunities for them later on as they head on off to college, this is definitely a good opportunity.
All right, so we want to remind you again, viewers, thank you so much. Those of you joining us via Gael, those of you joining us via Emily TV, those connecting with us via Smash Radio and Street 91.9 FM, and those of you online, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Come, let we go to Tobago, that paradise, Bombay, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
It's 7:16 a.m. viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Viewers, in this segment we are chatting with Kenneth Thomas, and just in case you're wondering and you're saying, but who Kenneth Thomas is that? The man punching, well known to us in the Tobago space, and this morning he's in his capacity as the Labor Relations Officer, and we are speaking PNM people are Tobago people too. Morning to you, sir.
Morning, Brother Skeet. Morning, Tobago. Morning, viewers. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Happy Emancipation.
Certainly. As I was just saying to Ria, you got to give me that title in our Tobago dialect.
Well, me are the Labor Relations Officer of the PNM Tobago Council. And being consistent with what is happening in heritage and the Tobago indigenousness, we come here to talk about Tobago people business.
All right, excellent. So as we head on into the topic this morning, we would have seen a number of happenings in the Tobago space, particularly by this current administration, which we have seen the various persons in terms of the political leader. We have heard conversations coming from the chairman. We have seen the minority leaders speaking out. And this morning we're speaking specific, and I want you to give us the essence and focal point for you when we speak to the issue of PNM people are Tobago people as well.
Well, what we've seen from the PNM viewpoint is that there is a deliberate attempt to marginalize certain people in Tobago. And I want to take it beyond PNM people are Tobago people too. Tobago people are Tobago people. And whether you're IDA, whether you're PNM, whether you're PDP, whoever you are in the Tobago space, then whatever is happening in Tobago must cater equally. And everybody in Tobago must have a fair chance of achieving, of aspiring, and achieving whatever their aspirations lead them to. And what we're seeing a shift away from that type of approach to people existing in our space. And it is important that we halt it at its very beginning. And that's why I'm here this morning, to ensure that we understand that it is not just about PNM, it is not just about PDP, but it's about a people with an experience that is existing in a space, and the space that was provided by God and all the resources in that space that we must enjoy and live and be free and be happy.
So is it that your concern stems from the fact that, in your opinion, it just appears to be persons who have open affiliations to political parties outside of the current administration in the main or in the majority being affected?
Right, and let us put that in a context. Now we just out of the Tobago House of Assembly election. And when we listened to what was happening and the narratives and the conversations that were taking place within that campaigning period, we have to contextualize what is happening now based on what was said then. And what we were hearing is that very callously, people who are identified to be PNM, or to be exact, those who have the red flag or perceived to be wearing the red flag, there will be no justice. there will be no ease for them in the Tobago space. And when you see what is happening now, then you must conclude, you must reasonably conclude that it is making true of the threats that were made then. Yes?
So you feel that that is one of the major concerns. Tell me, we in the Tobago space have seen over the years, and even from the various checks, that change is something that happens with every administration. What is significantly different now, or how do you feel things can be done differently?
All right.
Because you are man in the field of labor and so on. Yes.
And let me be honest, there are certain positions when a government changes, those positions must go. I mean, that goes without saying. However, there are certain levels of workers or employees, and when I talk about certain positions must go, we're talking about directors of boards and chairmen and those type of things. And in all honesty, these people sometimes offer their resignation even as soon as the government changes. But we're talking about people at the clerical level. We're talking about people not even at administrative level, but at that middle management level that have been targeted. And not that they have been targeted because they are inefficient. They have been targeted solely because of a perception that, and may not even be they supportive of the PNM, but anti or not supportive of the current regime. And that is not something that we should encourage at all.
What options are available to these individuals in this circumstance if they feel that they are being unfairly treated?
Well, let me say that lots of people have been coming to the Minority Council and have been calling me as a practitioner of industrial relations. And I've been examining the documents, even the letters of termination. They are so poorly written that and very incriminating. And I wonder who are the people that are really advising these people in industrial relations issues. And what we've seen coming through from the documents, just from the documents, is a kind of spite, a language of spite, a language that resembles harsh and oppressive treatment. That's the language within the industrial relations sphere. Harsh and oppressive treatment. You hear people saying that as of tomorrow, and good industrial relations practices and principles suggest that if you are thinking about termination for some genuine reason, then there's a process that must be followed. You must write to the person, you must call them in, because it's not just a hatchet job, but what seemingly is happening now is a kind of hatchet job. And we must not encourage that, because you see, in our small space, where employment opportunities are limited or are skewed to the government because of, as I said sometimes during the campaign, the small private sector that we have in Tobago can absorb all the labor within the labor market here. And so the Tobago House of Assembly is or has been doing a good job in absorbing some of these young professionals who are now coming out of school and giving their first and giving them the first opportunity to enter the labor market. And that is disappearing, and it is shrinking, and it's frightening, Brother Skeet.
How do you respond to the issue? And as you know, one of my colleagues would have raised it with me. The real people that suffer here ultimately are those who are directly affected, and particularly those who might be qualified, functioning in their respective positions, while the politicians play politics. And we speak to that issue from the perspective of what might be a more recent situation, seeing what is happening now in terms of the changes taking place within the current administration, and in some instances restructuring and so on as it is defined. And in a similar manner, the People's National Movement and others reacting to it. And then I recall again from one of my colleagues in the time of the Ministry of Tobago Development and the concerns, and seeing people being sent home in large numbers and protesting and crying out and so on. And yes, again, at that time, the opposition would have been getting the political mileage out of it. But where's the real essence of helping those who are actually affected?
Well, what we've done, there will be redress. We have no problem with that at all. from a legal standpoint, because people are pursuing the matters, and it will eventually end at the international court. There are people who have filed their cases.
But I feel, why ask the question? Let me interject a bit here. It's because I feel like there are people who have been pursuing matters from changing in administrations before. But while the politicians get the mileage out of it on either side, the people are suffering.
Right, and we must halt that. We must halt that. But it is what it is. The wheel of justice is, I mean, it's been slowly. But indeed, I know, having examined the documents and all that, I'm sure that there will be just. But in the meantime, people are migrating. Just last week, I have 2 friends who just have to migrate, young professionals, because of the perceived PNM link and their hopelessness in having a job here. And what that is doing, it is destabilizing families. It is creating a brain drain in this space. And not that the employment, the purposes for that employment is not existing. There are things. Tobago is a developing space. And so you need skill sets, you need professionals. And if my employment is hinged just on me being PNM or non-PNM, it's appalling. And that's why the release was captioned, PNM are PNMites are Tobagonians too. And I want to stretch it beyond that. Tobagonians are Tobagonians. And if we remember in the recent past, there was a galloping brain drain in Tobago when that same kind of attitude was being practiced. And people have been coming home over the last 20 years. You of yourself, you're trained. You don't have to be here. You could choose another career. Not because you resemble a particular color that must tie your chances. And we're saying that Tobagonians, in all seriousness, must condemn that approach to employment and fueling the labor market with skill sets and all that. We must condemn that kind of approach.
Do you think these kinds of concerns lead to younger persons naturally being disenchanted
in politics,
and not too interested in getting involved in politics for the fear that ultimately I may now be defined by my color?
That's right. Because you see, there must be a time that some political party will be in government and some will be in opposition. I may choose whoever political party I want to affiliate with. That must not determine my future in terms of my skill set and my ability to be employed or my employability. We should take that away from the politics. My employability must be hinged on my ability to perform efficiently and effectively in whatever sphere that I may choose to enter.
How do you respond to those that indicate, but the former administration has done this for a number of years, starting from as early?
I'm not sure that that's a true statement, because if you remember, Skip, Max James was employed with the PNM. Trevor James was employed with the PNM, and I could go on and on and on, and we cannot truly say that these people are PNM. We cannot say that. And if we are honest, we will or admit that there was a level of ease with Tobagonians accessing the space that are available, the vacant spaces that are available. It was not as it is now. For the last 7 months, the kind of loud cry that we are hearing is phenomenal and it's frightening. And that is something that, I mean, I want to personally talk to Fali about it, because it is not just a physical thing. It is also a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. And let us not for once ignore the fact that God's people are here. God's people are being affected, and God is going to frown at that.
How is this kind of thing going to stop any at all when the feeling is that politicians ultimately say one thing when it's time to be able to get into office, and then when politicians get into office, all do the same thing? Because if you, and I recall again, and I've made this point before, persons making the point about 2001 was no different fundamentally in terms of changes with regards to what the new PNM administration then, after trying for an extended period, never holding power and taking over from the reins of Ho Choi Charles, and making a number of changes in order to move its mandate forward then under the former Chief Secretary.
The changes then was not as impacting. What was happening in 2001 and even up to recently is that there was a realignment because now the focus
one call it realignment, one call it restructuring.
No, realignment, not the end result was not retrenchment, mass retrenchment. What was happening before that is that there was a scarcity of space for employment, and people even accused let's call it the Orville administration for employing and overheating the labor market and overheating the employment, and the business sector was crying out that the THA then was employing too many people, and there was a scarcity of labor. And so it was not a realigning that caused retrenchment. The conversation was different. The conversation was the government employing too many people, and so the private sector was crying out. Yes, there were people who, as I told you, at real director levels, and that must have gone. That goes without saying. But when we talk about people who just because of their skill set they were employed, those people are impacted. That is dangerous.
I want you to tell me, it is only natural that we have, in a few years from now, we're going to be heading back into an election season. Should the People's National Movement be returned to office, what is the PNM going to do differently?
In terms of what?
In terms of the concern now that there has been mass removals of persons belonging to the former, in an effort to engage, and you are seeing the engagement perhaps of some related to the current or to drive the new mandate.
I can tell you what we're doing now. At this present time, Brother Skate, we are doing what is called a labor market audit. And we are also planning for 15 years down the road. What we are trying to ascertain is where we will be carrying Tobago. What will be the skill set that will be required to carry it there and to make it continuous after the 15 years. So what we're doing now is to assess what is required and encouraging people. If you look at some of the advertisements, we are advertising already and asking people to go into certain areas of training so that they could be able to be filtered into the labor spaces that will become available after the magnificent planning of the PNM that is happening right now, because we're not just sleeping and crying. What we're doing now, we are preparing for governance, and I'm saying that there will be some exciting times ahead.
So, and the question again remains, with this preparation for governance, what are you going to do differently in relations to what is obviously the changes that have happened now, particularly in employment? Will we see the same kind of changes coming to happen as we have seen with every change of administration from the incarnation of the Tobago House of Assembly to present?
We will not be seeing it. And I'm saying that there are people who are occupying certain levels of employment now on contract. I'm talking about advisors and those types of people. It will be unfair for me to stay here and say that if a government changes, that these people will not go. And even though when the time comes, it will be done not in the callous way that it is being done now. So people will have that expectation, well, look, I am employed under these conditions. And we're setting these things in place so that people will not be traumatized. by a change of government at all.
All right. So we're going to have to hold, it's difficult to say, we're going to have to hold a politician to their word in terms of that commitment to the people indeed, because this is the challenge that we face consistently across the board, that politicians tell us this in this time when they're not in office, and then when they get to office, if we use the same classic, they might come and say we have to make some more realignments in terms of the CPEP program, the same CPEP program.
Well, you remember
that there were challenges
we brought that in the beginning, you know, under the St. Alfred run.
Correct.
And URP, and it's not that those are the preferred job, but those were to augment certain things that were happening at the time.
All right. So we want to thank again our viewers. We're just out of time for this segment this morning. And we want to thank Kenneth Ponjin Thomas for joining us on set, the Labor Relations Officer of the People's National Movement Tobago Council here, chatting with us this morning. Viewers, we want to remind you this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susolines, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning,
Good morning. Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Jesse Taylor, no stranger to Tobago, no stranger to Tobago Updates. He is the Cultural Officer 2 attached to the Division of Tourism. And this morning our focus is on the Tobago Heritage Festival, the micro market, as well as some other great things happening within the Tobago Heritage Festival 2022. Jesse, good morning and welcome.
That's a good morning to you, Ria, and all of Tobago. Good morning. And my staff in particular, who says I must say good morning to the whole crew. Yes,
No doubt.
Boy, Apisha, Katie, Guy, Giselle, everybody. Thank you.
All right, Jesse, and I have to always mention here how, you know, whenever you come on set with us, particularly during the Tobago Heritage Festival, that you are always in your full African regalia. And I have to say it a little bit dramatic, you know. I have to say it a little bit dramatic. Looking splendid as usual.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's get right into things. Now, before we get into the micro market, before we talk about the junior heritage, let's talk about Pembroke. We were in Pembroke last night. Let's talk about Pembroke. How did things go for Salaka Feast?
Well, excellent is a bad choice of word, but it was fantastic. I think that the theme, which was ancestral wisdom, really revealed a lot of things. And in short, it really showed that with all that our ancestors went through and all that they had to undergo as torture, and so we have, as a result, a lot of knowledge, a lot of practices, expression, beliefs that during our time of need can sustain us and has sustained us. We've seen that the fact that we've been out for 2 years, coming back, that energy, the vibes, it was just nice. And the show was totally one that was really appreciated by those who were in attendance. And we were happy, as usual, on behalf of the community of Pembroke to deliver what we consider another excellent edition of the Salaka Feast, which is the Feast of the Ancestors.
Now, on my way, as I mentioned to our viewers earlier this morning, on my way to Scarborough yesterday, as I was passing through Pembroke, I heard the music. I saw persons, already parking, and this could have been just about after 7. How early did things begin?
Around 6:30. Every year, what we have is the ancestral walk through the village, where we herald, salute, and embrace the energies, so to speak, and the spirits of the great ones who would have contributed to what Pembroke eventually grew into. So it was the morning ritual. It's part of the wetting of the ring. It's part of the Salaka Feast custom, where you go to various stops and you pay homage to those people who once lived there, and including those who are still around, contributing in various ways towards the success of the heritage and our legacy, which is what we are proud to own.
If you had to give one term, one word to describe the event yesterday, what word would you use?
Fantabulous.
We'll go with that.
Yes, certainly.
All right, we'll go with that.
Yes.
All right, so we want to move on a little bit here.
Yes,
We've
sure.
got the, in fact, before we even get to the micro market, the heritage, the junior heritage. Now, things would have kicked off from Monday. So tell us how things have been going this far.
So the junior heritage saw several manifestations. One was what we call the Junior Heritage Caravan. So we went back to what we consider to be the bedrock of our civilization, where the children who are tomorrow's leaders matter the most. So we took to various schools and various places to display and to inform using various performing arts, module, dance, drama, and other means, song, calypso, steel pan, to teach and to, in a sense, retool and rekindle what we figure is missing, what we figure need to be endorsed, and to create a sense of hope and, in some cases, nostalgia among the teachers, and to reinvigorate a system that we used to know as junior heritage but have not practiced for quite a while. Outside of that, we did what we call the community school tour series. We went to a drum shop. We went to where the home of Prince Williams, where the fiddle was being made, to see that start to play the fiddle. So the children had a chance to appreciate how the instruments, our drum, and how the fiddle were made and are being made, and the impact it has. So when you see it, you don't just see an instrument, you see something from concept to finish, and that was important. We also went to Castara, which is a tourism village, to see how the marine part of it goes, and how the appreciation that they have for their flora and their fauna, and the fact that they have used Castara as a model for tourism, and that's important for us at the division.
Right, I'm really happy to hear that things went well.
Today now,
yes, we're on to today now. So today we're talking about the micro market, and I'm really interested in knowing, what was the genesis of this micro market? Because this is new to the calendar.
Yes, so some time ago in May, the team sat with the secretary and the administrator and had a discussion on the bitter cassava tea pack taking the show to Trinidad on the road, and there was the installation of the micro market at Queen's Hall in the early part of June, where it created such a great interest among a lot of the people who lived in Trinidad, who are Trinidadian, but larger than that, a lot of people who are from Tobago who lived in Trinidad. So over the 2 days, we had an opportunity to really market for Tobago entrepreneurs, the innovators, those soul traders, those people who work behind the scenes and create this stuff, that those Creole stuff, those drinks and those things, cosmetics, things, skin care products, beaded jewelry. So they really was in the forefront. And we were really happy to have the Chief Secretary, and larger than that, we were able to have the President of the Republic, Paula Meweek. She not only went to the show, the production, but she also toured the market and purchased stuff in the market, farine and stuff, for instance. So our
from Tobago.
Yeah, from Tobago, all made in Tobago. It's called A Taste of Tobago, was placed center stage in Trinidad for the consumption of the people worldwide. So that was what sparked the interest and the conversation to ensure that we take that up. Let's face it, a lot of the sectors have been bruised, they have been battered, if not on the verge of extinction, where the COVID would have been concerned. So a lot of people now coming out. So the micro market is a filler of those gaps and those holes to ensure that we churn the economy, which is necessary for our survival here in Tobago.
Right, and it's happening right here
It's happening right at the Princess's Bank car park. It starts every day from 9 o'clock, and there's a variety of things happening inside there that you would be happy to have, because it's all about our heritage, but it's also about what the produce, the handiwork. So there are a lot of things that are carved, there are jewelry. You should take a stop, and of course you can get your exciting food, your cornfish and your pork and your kalaloo and your pigtail and there's a number of things happening on the days parallel to each other that one can come out and enjoy. Of course, it ends on Friday, and you can also have the benefit of the entertainment at lunchtime and in the afternoon as well. So it's a all-in-one package right in the heart of Scarborough.
All right, so we got today, Thursday, and tomorrow. These are the last 2 days.
Yeah, so today is the last, the day before it ends. So tomorrow is Friday. It culminates in grand style, as usual.
All right, and what do we have for the weekend as we look at wrapping things up on Monday?
Well, today, if I start with today, we have the end of the Junior Heritage Festival. So today, starting from just about 9 o'clock, we would have several sessions in folk song, storytelling, dance, drama, head wraps, body wraps. We also have even that these are our traditional tools. So there would be the making of the grater, and this was a stick. So we're teaching the children what they might not have known and what they may not know enough of. So that takes care of the intellectual immersive sessions during to create a Tobago tourism working model using raw materials, buying local material, upcycled, recycled materials, and that kind of stuff. So it's all about the children and the rebirthing of a nation so that we don't go lost.
That's right. Yeah. Our traditions are not lost.
Yes.
We don't want that.
Yes.
Certainly. So just to be wrapping things up with you, so what would you like to remind Tobago of? What would be your closing
That
comment?
the heritage is yours, is ours, and we must own it and fall in love in Tobago and with Tobago again. The activities continue today at Shaw Park. You can bring the children down. Later on Friday evening, you can also enjoy the calypso the way we used to do it. The Tobago Heritage Barak is on. And of course, the famous Mariah wedding on Saturday. And of course, Emancipation in full regalia on Monday. You're all invited to be part of these things. And all these events, you're free, get your tickets and come out.
So Jesse, I want to put you on the spot here, but let me just let the viewers know here that we're getting ready to head on over into Tobago Notes. But as we go, I want to ask Jesse to give us share the live. Tobago, viewers, this is your opportunity to share the live, but I want you to do it in Tobago style. I want you to give it to us in Jesse Taylor Tobago style. We don't want the English. We want the Pembroke Jesse Taylor heritage style.
Well, morning, neighbor, morning. Compare and me want to invite all of you to be a part of this great session, Tobago concept. Remember, share the live, Tobago updates, share the live, share the live, share the live. Stay tuned. Mind your business. It's Tobago business.
Herbs and spices like rosemary, thyme, and nutmeg add flavor to many dishes, but they also have significant medicinal value. That was the focus of this Herbs and Spices seminar spearheaded by the Kendall Farm School. The two-day workshop saw just over 50 participants learning about the health benefits of various plants. Many of them found the course an eye-opener.
The knowledge of the medicinal purposes of those plants that we grow up with that we take for granted. Alright, stand fern is so powerful, but you just take it and you stamp it on your hand. You have a tattoo, an immediate tattoo, and that was fun when you was growing up, but you didn't know the real purpose of this plant. So it's interesting. This would be another way to deal with some of those illnesses without having those harsh side effects.
Once we put the knowledge to use, it can be very beneficial, not just for self, but so many people are suffering with all types of ailments, and more and more, as you were saying, doctors will give you remedy for the symptom, not the cause at times. And these herbs will help us live longer and more healthier lives.
The sessions also included some practical elements as it relates to irrigating different types of medicinal plants. Technical Field Officer Potter Bruno gives some insight into that aspect of the course.
What I want to show them tomorrow, God willing, is how they could commercialize a venture like that. So I will be putting in an irrigation system on a bench using spaghetti tubes and spikes and stuff like that, right? On the outside there tomorrow, God willing, I want to lay down a drip irrigation system. Then we will plant according to where the drips are.
It's expected that the participants will put the knowledge into practice, whether it's to start a business or to improve their health.
We would like to stimulate agribusiness in Tobago, right? Herbs and spices, something, as I would have mentioned before, we use every day, not just in our meals, but also for medicinal purposes, right? Simple agro-processing like green seasoning, pepper sauces are things that we can stimulate, the public and empower them. It will stimulate small businesses within our communities, within Tobago on a whole. In so doing, we are going to promote revenue generation within our island.
This seminar was the first in a series of agricultural courses taking place during the July-August period. Here the topics include water and drip irrigation, systems and techniques for water conservation, as well as ginger production. For more information, people can call the Kendall Farm School at 660-4395.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Yes, it's 7:54 a.m. And in this segment, we are chatting with Sheridan Kirk. And Sheridan is a coach and PRO of a Zenith Athletic Club and the president, Kelsey Toussaint Reed of the Zenith Athletic Club. And this morning, we're chatting about the organization and the registration drive. And before we head on in there, morning, folks, and welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome on set.
I've been waiting for this.
Welcome to Tobago Updates, indeed. As we start the conversation this morning, Kelsey, to get us going, tell us about the Zenith Athletic Club. Tell us about that history. Give us a little brief background for those who may be out there in the region and not familiar.
Okay, so Zenith Athletic Club was founded back in 1980 by the Franklin brothers, Wade and Jared Franklin. And it was born out of the need for the development of the sport, exposing the sport of athletics to the local area of Tobago. And the aim was not just to have athletes being able to compete regionally or internationally, but it was to develop the athletes holistically. So when you come out of Zenith, you are a well-rounded person, your life has been changed, and you know you are for the better. Zenith has produced so many spectacular athletes. And right at my side, our first Olympian. And we have others like Kellyanne Baptiste, Renee Cow, Simoy Hackett. And the club really we are changing, we are adapting to the new environment, and now we are not just focusing on the junior and senior level, but also the juvenile level, which focuses on exposure of the sports, the fun part of the sport, so that they could enjoy it to get to the point where they can be Olympians.
All right. I know that, and we'd head on over to Sheridan here, a success story and one whom we're very proud of in the Tobago space based on your achievements. I want you to tell us, when you make the comparison with your ability to be exposed then and, you know, looking at now, what would you say to young persons out there who feel there's doubt in their mind and sport is probably not the way to go in Tobago?
Well, I would say for certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that sport is the way to go in Tobago. In terms of the distraction, now you may have quite a bit of distractions happening that may take your mind off a sport on a whole, but once you have a unique team like Kelsey, myself, Don, and the other coaches that's a part of the Zenith Athletic Club, for sure we would keep you on track, because we have a history of making professional athletes. We have a history of creating a different environment in which athletes can thrive. You know, Mr. Franklin or the Franklin brothers would have done that tremendously for the whole of Tobago, because I've been telling some people in the recent past here that there's no medals in Trinidad and Tobago without a Zenith athlete being on a team. So we're going to get back.
And we know you're only saying it so soft because you're on TV.
No, I'm trying to scream. I'm screaming right now, actually. So I'm just saying that we have been producing professional athletes at a very high level. And we want to continue doing that. And, you know, the focus is not necessarily on the club. The club is already a great club. We established that. The focus is really on the athlete, because we are athlete-centered. We are all about the well-being of the athlete and their development.
Tell me, for you, Kelsey, was there always that passion for sport, or you started off with some doubt in your mind and then boom?
Well, sure, I can tell you sport is what changed my life, right? I was actually going through a dark time in my life when I met the Franklin brothers. And they were the one that actually brought me into sport. Sport paid for my education, and I'm saying sport is where got me to where I am today. So I want to be that change for someone. You want to be that change for someone.
How early it is definitely to be that change? How early can someone get involved in terms of the Zenith Athletic Club?
Well, we have a few processes that you could actually get in contact with us by cell phone contact. You could also go and check our social media pages. We currently have our registration form online, so you could start that process online. Just check us out at Zenith Athletic Club on Facebook, Instagram. We are there. We are bold. We are the crew in blue with the eagle flying above your head. You know, always. You know, so you could check us out on Facebook especially, and we've been having a lot of parents sending us requests, and we are so excited to be a part of the 2022 season and the group that will be coming in.
But we do take them from 6 into 7, because we don't want to have them, because there's competition involved, we don't want to have them involved in competition too early. But we take them from 6 going into 7 all the way up, and we are actually encouraging the older children, those in high school as well, to come out, because we started in 3rd and 4th form. Right? So it's not just at that small age. You can come in. Abilities are discovered all the time.
Would you say that the pandemic, how challenging was it? Or is it rather at this point trying to get persons out of, I know there was strong complaints with sports literally going on a lockdown, you know, and not being able to enjoy. How challenging is it now to get persons back into that mood? Okay, you got so accustomed doing your thing privately.
Yes, but we had a big drop in attendance during the pandemic, and at one point we could only have vaccinated athletes, you know, participated. we anticipate coming out of the season that we had, that will improve. Yes, we had the pandemic. A lot of kids got left behind, and so we have a lot of work to do now to get them back ready and in a kind of form to be able to compete for next year. So this is why we're on the drive, because we need to start early and put things in place.
What would you describe as one of the more outstanding achievements? One for the Zenit Athletic Club
so
over the years, or even this year?
This year alone, coming out of the pandemic,
Yes.
the juvenile champions, at juvenile championship, we were second. And for the juniors, with a small team of only mainly under 15s, we had no under 17s, maybe one or two, no under 20, barely. We were fourth at the junior championship. So that just speaks to our ability, even with our numbers.
Tell me, Sheridan, the importance of the support of an organization when you want to progress in sport.
Well, I'm always shouting and I'm very hopeful that we have the support of the general public first, you know, Tobago, the corporate sponsors and so forth. But it is quite critical for the parents to be a part of the process, because the parental support is quite critical in understanding that an athlete need to live a certain lifestyle. They need to rest, they need to be ready, they need to be focused. And when we a lot of people think that the workouts are all done on the field, you know, both in the shows, the field events and the track event, but it really and truly happens at home and with your lifestyle, you know. So with the knowledge that Zenit coaches has and their support staff, I believe that we will be able to really and truly build a holistic athlete with their understanding of the use of social media, the use of different methods to make them great athletes. Because we are not just here to say that we have a club. We are here to make great athletes. Kelsey would have mentioned earlier that we came out of some very hard times. If it wasn't for that talent identification drive that Zenit had, well, back then it would have been different to now. Yes. Now we have social media and we're making the cry and everybody running to Zenit. But we would try our very best to make sure that parents get bang for their buck, quote unquote, you know, just to make sure that we have more athletes representing Trinidad and Tobago on the national circuit.
Remind our viewers, because we're running out of time with the interview, starting with you, President Kelsey, in terms of why Zenit Athletic Club is a must.
Well, first of all, Eagles soar, right? And we would transform your commitment into success once you put in the work.
All right, excellent. Sheridan, why Zenit Athletic Club?
Because there's no other club that could do it like Zenit. We would have produced the most Olympians that the island have ever seen. We would have transformed the way that people sees athletics on the island. I know a lot of people might want to say football is the best sport, but pound for pound, athletic is the sport that gets a lot of the families that don't necessarily have the finances to get their children into colleges and so forth out of Tobago. So it is quite critical for them to understand that being a sport that is based on just you and not a team, that you'll be able to excel and excel fast based on your focus and potential.
Excellent. Very quickly, remind me of contact information so that our viewers will know.
So outside of our social media pages, you can contact myself, Kelsey, at 755-5510.
My contact is 483-7456, and one of our coaches, Don Dillon, his contact is 733-6933.
And from what I know about Kelsey and Sheridan especially, you could stop them anywhere. Whether you see them liming, whether they're in the mix, stop them anywhere to talk sport, and they're into it. Yes. All right, we want to thank you so much for joining us on set, and we want to encourage you, our parents out there, and very valid points being made. It's not just about sending your child to a club and hoping that they do well. You become part of that system in terms of making that commitment and trusting the process with our athletes and our champions that have certainly represented us out there in the region and the world at large, and still back here and making their contribution when they could be doing and gaining much more outside of Tobago, but choosing to be back here and making that contribution to help other young persons develop in the field. So congratulations again, and thank you very much for joining us on set this morning. Viewers, at this point, we prepare to wrap for the Tobago Updates morning show. We want to thank you so much for your continued love and support, those of you joining us via TV, radio, and those connecting with us online. And we prepare to head on over to GMT. Good morning, Tobago, with Candice coming up next. Bye for now here at this end, folks.
Say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never. Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Na 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na 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 na. Wake up with Candace and Denicia. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Events are energizing Trinidadians to visit Tobago, but flights to the island remain challenging. The Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association said their bookings are lower than expected because visitors cannot book flights. They explained the success of any event depends on people being able to attend them. While the inter-island ferry service is available to Trinidadians, the THTA noted that many guests prefer flying rather than sailing. They are again calling on Caribbean Airlines to increase flights to the airbridge immediately. Meanwhile, the Great Fete weekend kicked off last night with its Welcome Wednesday event. Onto some other news, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine stated that he treasures the ability to be democratically elected into office, especially after the attempted coup of 1990. At the inaugural wreath-laying ceremony in remembrance of the attempted coup, Augustine said he owes that privilege to heroes who risked their life like President and Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson. He explained that Robinson and many other Tobagonians were instrumental in developing the country, and they need to be recognized and celebrated. There are plans to include honoring Tobago's heroes at next year's Tobago Day celebration. And on to some national news. There are no recorded cases of monkeypox in Trinidad and Tobago. However, the Ministry of Health is not waiting to implement protocols. Persons with detected cases of monkeypox will be placed on a 3-week quarantine. This is so because the incubation period for the virus is between 5 and 21 days. They will be administered medication to control fevers, while severe cases will be treated at the Quora Hospital. In the meantime, travel restrictions will not be imposed on the country. However, the Ministry of Health is closely monitoring the situation. And that was in news in 90 seconds. And yesterday we brought you, of course, a story about the implementation of a solar project at the Piaco International Airport. And that is to reduce our carbon footprint in Trinidad and Tobago. And to speak to us a little bit about that is the Minister of Energy, the Honorable Stuart Young, on with us this morning. So good morning and welcome to you, sir.
Good morning, Ms. Jackson. Good morning, Tobago. How are you all?
Oh, we're doing fine.
So
I was promised a cup of good Tobago hot cocoa this morning, so I'm still waiting on it. Cocoa tea.
well, you have to be in Tobago for it. And of course, now is the perfect time because we're in the middle of the Tobago Heritage Festival.
Correct. Good
All right.
morning.
Well, getting into the conversation this morning, now we saw on Monday the start turning for the solar-powered plant at the Piarco International Airport. And I just want you to tell me a little bit about this plant. And I think that this is the first of its nature in Trinidad and Tobago, if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. It's the first fairly, I wouldn't call it large, but substantial solar park that is being built in Trinidad to start with. But we are going to be coming, and I'll tell you a short while about what is coming hot on the heels of it, and I'm also going to tell you all about my plans for Tobago.
Yes,
so what that solar park is a joint venture, so to speak, between the airport authority and the EU. The EU, of course, is doing its part, the European Union is doing its part to try and to help developing countries reduce the greenhouse gas emissions that are having very harmful effects on our small islands, and I dare say all over the world. We're seeing unprecedented heat waves in Europe that we haven't seen in decades, forest fires burning all over the west coast of the United States. If you've been observing what has been taking place with the global climate in the last few years is very frightening. We saw last year floods in New Jersey, in New York. We've seen unprecedented flooding taking place in China, in India. It's happening all over the world, so we all have a responsibility. So this small solar park is really the first step. It's EU fund granting, so that means the EU are paying for it in full, 12 million TT dollars. It's just going to be a small drop in the bucket for the Piarco Airport of taking some of their electricity needs off of the traditional electricity grid and putting it onto solar, but it's really supposed to be a start. What we have coming hot on the heels of that, and I've been working on it unfortunately for a while now, very frustrating at times, is a massive solar park, two of them in Trinidad, that are going to produce 112.2 megawatts of electricity, which is a significant amount of our electricity and is going to immediately become the largest solar project in the whole CARICOM region and thereabouts. 112.2 megawatts. That is being underwritten by BP and by Shell, along with NEC as part of the government initiative. It's being done by a company called Lightsource BP, which is one of the largest solar project managers in the world. And we're hoping to get that signed off on within the next couple of weeks. It's been taking a lot longer than I wanted, but that's partly because it's the first time a project of that nature has ever been done. These are just two of the first initiatives we want to do towards moving us on our electricity grid. Now, the Piarco one is not going onto the main grid, it's just purely for Piarco. But the Project Lara, 112.2 megawatts, is going onto our electricity grid. Because I think the more renewables, I know the more renewables we get feeding our electricity grid, the better it will be for us. That will be partly we'll use less of our gas, so we can monetize our gas, and therefore there's more revenue to Trinidad and Tobago. But then secondly, it's us doing our part towards the reduction of harmful greenhouse gas emissions. And I want Tobago, I was thrilled at the opportunity to have this conversation with you all this morning in Tobago. I don't want Tobago for a moment to think you're being left out. I have said that we must look in Tobago to see where the next solar project can be. I've also, you all would know, we've been pushing the use of electric vehicles. Unfortunately, globally now, there is a huge demand for electric vehicles. So Trinidad and Tobago, being a small population, we are not getting the amount of electric vehicles we want. But in the government's drive and push towards a future of electric vehicles, in particular by the public, I have mandated that we build electric charging stations in Tobago, and that Tobago be part of this whole revolution. We're looking at where we can put down solar in Tobago. One day when we get to the generation of electricity via wind. Yesterday I had a meeting with the IDB, and the majority of the meeting was me discussing with them what is the future energy for Trinidad and Tobago, in particular looking at wind and how wind can then help us to generate hydrogen. And of course, in Tobago, you have your whole east coast from the northeast come down is on the Atlantic side. So where can we look at potential wind farms in Tobago as well to make sure Tobago is part of this whole revolution?
And tell me a little bit about how much this solar powered plants will be producing. So how much would it reduce the energy consumption of the Piarco International Airport?
Candice, is a very, very small percentage. I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but from my recollection, and don't hold me to this, it's only about half a megawatt, right? 0.5 of a megawatt that it is generating. So it is really a start. It is really a pilot project. It's really to show, look, this thing can be done. Recently, within the last, I would say, 9 to 12 months, we opened a gas station here in Trinidad that is completely powered by solar. It's in the central of Trinidad, Presal gas station. And that project shows that you can power a commercial setup, a gas station, and it's a big gas station, using solar panels. They line the whole roof with solar panels. There's an electric charging port, 3 ports there for the charging of electric vehicles that are also solar power. Of course, the backup is off the normal electricity grid. So this Piarco project is really, and I'm glad, look at it, it's generated interest. You all are interested in Tobago. I mean, one of the things that can be discussed is there the opportunity for the extension of the Tobago terminal for them to utilize solar? So that is something I will talk to them about. That would be a great pilot there in Tobago as well. As you know, I always say whenever you get off the ferry or you get off the plane in Tobago, is a different type of sunlight you're facing, right? So you all have these renewable resources right there, literally at your fingertips. And so we need to work with Tobago to see what we can do to get that into your grid and assist.
And as we're talking about moving to renewable sources of energy, can you tell me a little bit about, what it would take for us as a country to get on board with that? Because I know one of the concerns, especially when we were talking about CNG several years ago, was that citizens were just not buying into the idea of moving from diesel-powered vehicles to CNG-powered vehicles. But now that we're not doing CNG anymore, or not pushing CNG anymore, we are looking towards electric-powered vehicles. But how are we, as a government, as a country, going to try to change the situation, change the mindset of people to be more receptive to this new form of technology?
Absolutely. Candice, CNG was an experiment that was tried. Maybe it was a little before its time. When I came in as Minister of Energy, I met it. Even before then, I'd been saying at the table, look, we need to review the CNG policy because the technology has changed. I'll tell you something, electric vehicles and the younger people, among younger generations would be very familiar with this. The technology of electric vehicles and the ability to charge electric vehicles has completely changed in the last 2 years. So if we were looking at this 3-4 years ago, as we did, you had to have charging ports in your house, and it was a difficult concept of how do you charge electric vehicles. The batteries in the vehicles couldn't take you for very long. Now, when you buy an electric vehicle, they literally give you a plug that you plug into your outlet at home, and even that has changed. It changed from the types of plugs that you would use for your washer and dryer to now a normal plug, and you charge your car overnight. 4 years ago, that didn't exist. So that technology has changed. So it's more user-friendly for us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and for everybody. When you see what has gone on recently with fuel, let me tell you what's going to drive it. Fuel prices. When you see what's gone on recently here in Trinidad, we're still not feeling the full effects of the real price of fuel because the government continues to subsidize at the pump, even though the price has been increased to try and share that increase in fuel price. But anyone looking at what's going on in the United States over the last 4 months, where fuel prices went up astronomically high, you would have seen many people rushing to electric vehicles and then talking about how they've saved at the pump on electric vehicles. So I think there's 2 things going to drive us. One, there's no doubt in my mind that the younger generation, rightly so, because they're the ones inheriting the earth, they're the ones who have to take over now, they are concerned, and rightly so, about the deleterious effects of the global climate change, and they know that moving to electric vehicles is better for the environment. So I think that's the first thing. And then secondly, I think fuel prices, and as cars, normal engine combustion engines go out of production, we're going to move to electric vehicles. CNG is still here. We're not disappearing the infrastructure for CNG. And actually, I'll tell you something, Candice. When the fuel price was moved at the pump, and it was only $1 on premium and super moved up, we actually had a surge of persons going, asking if they can have CNG. And they developed as well a CNG hybrid where you can use normal gas in your car and put CNG, and the CNG would kick in and save you from utilizing too much gas. So that proved to me that the price at the pump is going to push people in that direction. But I think as well, we've all become more conscious of the harmful effects we're facing. I mean, in Tobago, the serious coastal erosion, the type of flooding we've seen in the last few years. So we are more conscious of what is it that we can personally do. What we need is for the price of these things to come down and also the supply to increase.
Well, and that gets me to my other point, in the sense that one of the other challenges with moving towards CNG was that of the price of vehicles. Now, people are apprehensive of going that way because they can't afford it. Now, if we are really serious about moving towards electric-powered vehicle, is the government prepared to make it more accessible to the wider public?
Absolutely. I mean, last year in the national budget, we took that decision. I remember us advocating and discussing it at Cabinet. And there's no more importation tax, customs duty, VAT on the importation of electric vehicles. So you don't pay any tax to bring it in. So what we have to do now is wait for the supply to start coming. You have the used car dealers, they are out there trying to source these. I think we're going to see more electric vehicles coming in. So the government has done everything it can do to assist in making it affordable. There are no taxes on these vehicles to be imported. That's on that side. On the CNG kit side, you also have persons who have switched over. I think the price of the kit ranges in the, around $20,000, just around that range. We've had testimony for people say, yes, it was an initial output, that is a lot of money, but very, very quickly they started to recover the money spent, because the CNG is so much cheaper than the fuel at the pump. It lasts longer, it's better for your vehicle, it is better for the environment. But as I say, that's now an old technology. So I think from a government perspective, we've done everything. People who are buying electric vehicles, there's no need to worry yourself about there are not enough public charging ports all over Trinidad and Tobago, because the fact is now the average electric vehicle can run for over 230 miles or around 230 miles upwards on a full charge. If you work out 230 miles, you can drive around Trinidad on a 230 miles charge. So all you need to do is recharge your vehicle at night and you're going to be fine. A full charge will run a normal person days and days, because you're not going to be driving 230 miles. So we just need the global supply of these vehicles to pick up. The point is, in every country, especially the developed and developing countries, the more wealthy ones, they are picking up all of the electric vehicles. So we are struggling to get them here in Trinidad. We're also having an initiative where we're going to be moving our public transport, the fleet of buses, towards electric, and that's going to do a tremendous amount of help towards us reducing our greenhouse gas emissions here in Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Well, what are the challenges also with CNG? Because as you said, that we're going to still keep CNG as part of the options here in Trinidad. And I would say Trinidad because we in Tobago are yet to have that CNG fuel station. It's been promised for several years, and it's not coming to fruition. So is that plan now scrapped, or where is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, I was surprised, I'll use that word because it's the truth, when I came in as Minister of Energy, that it had not been implemented, that there is not a CNC fueling station in Tobago. So I'd asked immediately the subsidiary of the NGC group what is going on with that, and I'm pursuing it. A few weeks ago, Senator Hislop was speaking to me about it. He spoke to me about a number of Tobago issues to deal with gas stations, etc. And he raised the CNG. Previous Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis has raised it with me. It is something that I intend to get delivered for Tobago, because Tobagonians is Trinidad and Tobago, and we have to have a proper CNG fueling station in Tobago. The metrics may not work in terms of the number of vehicles. There's so few vehicles, but of course you have it's a chicken and an egg situation. Yes, so let us put down the CNG. You deserve the infrastructure. You deserve the investment, and I'm determined to get it done. So I intend to follow up on it, and I look forward to being across there as they launch that first CNG public fueling station. Because right now what they do is they have to ship it across, and because we have, there were a couple of CNG buses over there, and there's still a few vehicles. So there's a depot. So how do we better it? How do we make it more available to the public in Tobago so that Tobagonians can take the decision to convert their vehicles to CNG as well, because it's better all around for them and for the environment, meaning the owner of the vehicle.
Are we still considering a mobile station or a full station?
I don't want to be premature and tie the hands of the technocrats who have to be running the figures and coming up with what is the best solution. So let me look into that. I was going to say light some fire under them and just push it along, and then I can get back to you all and let Tobago know, look, this is what we're proposing, and this is going to be the start date of building this infrastructure in Tobago.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Minister Young, for being with us and to giving us an update on what's been happening, especially where renewable sources of energy are concerned, and how our country is planning to go forward. And we're certainly looking forward to that CNG station, as well as the solar-powered plants here in Tobago.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. Candice and Tobago, you all have a great day. Thank you for the opportunity, and everyone, please stay safe.
All right, thank you. And of course, you're welcome here anytime. All right, folks, that's it for this segment, but don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back after the break with more.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero. Champion. Fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
It's a different type of thing down there. What? Man, we party till we drop down there. Right. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules, or if you are having a cooking day off.
Come, there we go to Tobago. That paradise, Bombay, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world say, come to Tobago for holiday. Smile, every smile in Tobago. That paradise, Bombay, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Ronald Reagan say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now Bill Clinton say, come to Tobago for holiday. If you want a happy vacation, you can get it right here in my land. If you want
can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
The Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates morning show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates morning show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and we are going to be chatting about a Tiny Tots Leadership Conference that's going to be coming up. And to tell us a little bit more about this Tiny Tots and what this really means, we have Miss Marsha Holder, and she's the president of the Glen Road United Association. And we also have with us Miss Nevlin Renwick, and the treasurer of the Glen Road United Association. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having us.
All right. So first of all, tell us a little bit about that Tiny Tots conference, leadership conference. What is this thing about?
Well, I'm an educator, and coming out of the COVID, you would realize that a number of schools were having flare-ups in terms of children having problems, how to be back in a shared space. They were having problems in terms of how to interact with each other, how to interact with adults. And because of that, we saw where there was a need to reorient our children. And for me, dealing primarily with the older kids in the secondary school, I said, you know what? Sometimes it's hard to break bad habits. And this was something that you were seeing across the board in our nation in terms of some of the reports you were seeing on television. So we decided as a group to say, you know what, in order to make a change, you have to start from the little ones. And anybody who is around the little ones will know that they are in charge of the home. The little ones, the 5-year-old, the 3-year-old, they will say, Missy and Sissy. Yes. And they kind of hold you to a certain standard and a moral value. So it is with that in mind that we decided, you know what? Let's have a Tiny Tots Leadership Conference. Let's have a 4-day session where they are exposed to things like the good graces of greeting and so on. Let's have a session where they are exposed to basic hygiene, how we want them to, outside of just the washing of their hands. There are other things that they need to know. And that is basically the genesis of our idea.
All right, and to bring in Ms. Renwick, can you tell me a little bit about how this conference will be structured? Because of course we're dealing with children ages 3 to 6.
Well, we have it for 4 days, and it will be structured daily with a particular topic, because this wonderful word, unique, I would have used it some years ago to tell each child that they are unique. And unique means that you are special in your own particular way. So every day we have a session on uniqueness, we'll have one on cleanliness, we'll have one on keeping the environment safe, and communication, how they communicate with each other. Not everything is. We have to do a little cooking class, and intermittently we will be breaking it up with games and laughter and stories and even little giveaways. But Ms. Holder would give you more on that.
Of course.
Right, and she's correct. We named it Tiny Tots Leadership Conference, double TLC, Tender Loving Care. And the C speaks to communicate, where they're going to be looking at, one day they'll be looking at the greeting words. Please, thank you, sorry, may I, can I? And they'll be doing that, of course, in English. And we have a top facilitator, Sir Cornwall, coming in and teaching them to do it in Spanish as well. So they're going to be having that, and that is going to be broken up into small sessions where they will be able to you know, listen to the facilitator, then act it out, and then you have a number of things, television, play acting, that kind of thing. So that's on day one. And then there is the whole idea of community, understanding how you operate in a shared space, understanding that, you know, where do you sit, how do you share the space that you're in, keeping it clean, that kind of thing. Children say, but I didn't put it there, so I shouldn't move it, that kind of thing. Learning to clean up after themselves, there is that on that day. Learning to work in a community. Then there is the whole idea of care, and that's where they look at their basic hygiene. How do they take care of themselves? How do they take care of others? All of that. And then you have the final day where they learn to prepare something. You know, they learn to create a sandwich, and they learn to make juice, and then they learn to serve others and clean up after themselves. The cleanup aspect is going to be continuous, and there is a reinforcement of each session. It is something that we are starting, so we are not going to have 100 children. We can't. It's tiny tots here. We have facilitators coming in, we have assistants coming in, youth assistants coming in, so they have the big brother, big sister vibes, going to be working with them, helping them along, and just, you know, let the little ones, the leaders, have their own little conference, yeah?
I mean, is this, okay, so no, you said this is the first time that this sort of conference is happening.
Yeah, from our
but
group.
Is it the first time that you've done any kind of this work with young children?
Well, no, for me, no, right? I would have done a number of sessions like these in different spheres and in different ways. So it is with that experience that I understand that there is a need, and why we decided, you know what, let's start with the little ones. The group looked at the whole idea of, listen, we need to do something for the teenagers, you know, but that will require more infrastructure, more time, more, which we didn't have. And coming off of our group, because we do a lot of projects. This year, this is the first time we're doing this one, and then we have our drive where we will be giving 100 children school supplies.
Yes.
And that is going to be done with our foreign partners. So right now they have already mobilized and packaged barrels of school supplies that will be coming, bags, stationaries, and so on. That is going to be given out to our catchment, which is Glen Road, Darrow Spring, environs in Scarborough. So that project is later down this year to roll off in time for September. This one we decided to import it because of the need that we saw in our community. And it came off of the idea too that, you know, sometimes you're going through school and you're wondering, is it the school that teaches all these morals and values, or is it what is happening in, you know, just the home responsible? And COVID kind of showed us that the school and the community groups have a large part to play in how we integrate our young people into our society.
And about socialization and that sort of thing.
That's right. So now that it was removed for 2 years, we are having a whole different crop of young people who are struggling. And then they are now creating their own rules that are not necessarily fitting in with the whole. And it is with that in mind that we said, no, as a community group, we have to get back on board with part of our civic responsibility, and that is where we're starting.
And how important it is to start at this age, because again, like 3 to 6 years old, it's a very, very young age. But how important it is to have this sort of teaching?
It's really to inculcate good moral and values from the ground up. Once you are taught something, it is very difficult to veer away from it. Yeah, the concept, that concept of morals and so on, a child will ask you why.
Yes,
and
they
why,
do.
and why. And they do not stop until all their questions are answered, because within them, that's who we are as people.
We're curious people.
And they are satisfied that what they have learned have met some innate part of them that speaks to their humanity, and they are the ones that insist that we do something. I remember my daughter saying, "Mommy, you didn't indicate that you was going to turn," because she started to understand road rules. Yeah, once you teach it to them and they know this is the rule and this is what it should be, and it makes sense to them, then they hold us to it. So we are saying, once the little ones do it, they have a way of shaming us to behaving well, you know. Young people do that. The tiny tots do that.
And from the day they're born, they are manipulating the cell phone.
Yes, they are.
There's so much things on that cell phone that would bombard them now.
And they're learning it faster than we are.
Now it have the YouTube, did this, did that, the other, and some of them it's not filtered, and the things that come across sometimes I don't understand, and I can't do what they do. So we have to try to rein them in, and those 2 years that they were home because of COVID, a lot of things get to slide over the parents' head, and they were doing things on the low, even those little ones. We love them. We love them as they are, but we need to guide them from small. If you don't teach them the ways from when they are small, when they grow up, it will be troublesome.
And on that point now, you also mentioned that you are a teacher and that you're encountering these problems in school. Now, how do we move towards sort of correcting some of those issues and those problems that are developing now in our young people? Is there any hope?
Most definitely. Children are by nature moldable, and once they are, part of it comes from, as adults and as institutions, setting certain guidelines and foundations that you want them to follow and being consistent. If we are not consistent, if we cannot show them that we are modeling what we are asking them for, they are going to challenge it, and they are not going to subscribe to. They're going to say, but you are not doing X, Y, and Z, and you're asking me to do it. So it's about deciding now, what do we do? Initially, things like the school rules helped organizations and institutions to give students a template. This is how you operate in this space. But then that kind of became gray when the government would have said, well, don't look too much to the shoes, and don't worry too much about, and don't worry. So then children tend to get confused with gray areas. It's either black or white. And then now we have to pull ourselves back and give them the black and white so they know this is right and this is wrong. Gray areas create a problem. So we need to eliminate that. We need to decide as a society, as a ministry in terms of education, what are we doing so that they have clear-cut guidelines as to how to operate.
Yeah. We want them to lead, not to follow.
Definitely. And okay, so as we're talking about now trying to correct some of these problems, I mean, we're very grateful that we have your organization coming on board and trying to see how we can fix some of these issues, because again, the damage that has been done over those past 2 years, it is quite impactful, and it will take longer than 2 years to fix in a lot of cases. But are we seeing more people in the community realizing that, you know, something needs to happen as a society to help our children go the right way?
That's right. That's right. And this is really just a start. You cannot create this holistic change in 4 days. It's impossible, but there is a start. You are right. And we are hoping that our project, along with other projects, because I know there are other groups who are seeing, yeah, we need to do something. There are groups and institutions that have started to put things in place where they bring in the professionals to talk to the young people, to dialogue with the young people, to have them have a voice and say, well, this is right or this is wrong. So things are starting to happen, but it needs to happen in a greater force so they understand, as a society, this is where we need to go in order to allow some kind of change and for community to happen. For us, yeah.
It has to start with the community base. It's community based. So we have a lot of young children in our area, and we are hoping that they will come out and participate.
Yes.
And I want to get a little bit deeper into some of the challenges that are being faced by children. Now, what are some of those traits that you're seeing, especially in these young kids? Like, what are some of those traits that are troubling to you?
One, bullying. Our young people are encountering bullying, and they are afraid to speak up about it. So that is one of the things we're going to have. Cavell Mills, she works with young people and so on. She's going to be coming in to not only have them identify when their personal space is being violated, but to know what to do when that happens. Because I have seen instances where young people's space has been violated and they remain silent because they pull themselves into a shell. They don't want to say anything because they, as victims, feel that by saying something they know are going to be targeted. So we are going to be having sessions where they're going to be taught, if your space is being violated, what do you do? The opposite is also true, because then you have some young people, because they have only been operating home and they didn't have to interact with others, they do not know now how to share a space, how to share a table, and how to differentiate between when your personal space is violated as versus just sharing a space with someone else. And there is that confusion. So some of the sessions will address those issues where our young people are concerned.
Another one is respect. A lot of people feel that they could disrespect. We say we don't disrespect the elders, but they think the elders are people who are 80 and 90 and 100. But the elders are the young parents, the young adults, their teachers. You must always should be able to use your thank yous. Once we gave a child, we had a program where we gave a child something that he didn't like, and he just threw it on the floor and kicked it away. You have to also show appreciation. No matter what it is, how small it is, you have to show appreciation. So we want to go along that line as well. We want to teach to let them practice good manners.
Very important.
Very important.
And, you know, as we're getting ready to wrap up, I just want you, I mean, because we're having this conversation and I know there's a lot of parents that are interested. How can they get connected with you and how can they get their children involved?
Well, we will be doing a walk around to help with the registration process. Once we get to a cap of about 50 to 23, we will have to cut off because of the space that we have. But they can contact us on 2 numbers, 786, and I'll give them 3 because I'll give them Neville's number as well, 786-7286. You can call that number, or 484-6222, or they can call Neville at
741-2366.
All right, great. So those are the numbers. So, yeah.
All right, well, I thank you, Ms. Holder and Ms. Renwick, for being on set with us this morning and for just telling us a little bit about this initiative. And I wish you all the success. And I'm hoping that more communities and more groups like yours could come on board to help our children out because we need a lot of help right now.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, great. Well, viewers, don't go anywhere because we're not done yet. We have more after the break.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard, I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Come, let we go to Tobago, that paradise, bung by Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world sings.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susolines, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and we are continuing our conversations this morning. And on set with me, we have Ms. Sharon Baines, and she is the Executive Coordinator for Extra Touch Health, Beauty and Beyond. And we are talking about a special health and beauty expo that's supposed to happen in Tobago from, let me see if I can get the dates right, from July 30th to August 1st. Okay, I'm sorry, we'll just have to go for a quick break and then we'll be right back.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, respectful, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back, and we apologize for that short technical difficulty, but like I said before, we are on set with Sharon Baines, and she's going to be speaking to us about Extra Touch Beauty and Beyond and a special expo from from July 30th to August 1st.
Yes. So again, I said good morning and thank you for having us. Having me, I represent the team. We start on the 30th with the Glam Squad competition. That's what we have in collaboration with Community Development Vocational Skills Program. So the young ladies that went through the hair, beauty, nails, and makeup program would be competing for prizes. For first, they're going to be competing as a team, so they get a team prize, and they also will be competing as individual, and that takes place on the 30th. On the 31st, we flip into a little bit on the health side, where we're looking at the long-term community care, one long-term community care center, where we're not going to be able to go in because of the COVID situation, but we're able to drop off care packages for them just to let them know that we remember them, because you know how COVID had everybody kind of isolated, and that a lot of times that's a population that's been forgotten. And the grand day is going to be August 1st, where we are going to have the Health and Beauty Expo. We are going to have blood pressure screening. We are going to have mental health information being given to them by one of our local mental health coordinator, because we know also too, because of COVID, a lot of families are hurting. They've lost their breadwinner, they've lost family member, and they don't have the tools to deal with all that sudden loss. So we have somebody to come to speak to that. We also going to have a prayer tent where people who, after they deal with the mental health, physical stuff, they want to go into the spiritual realm, they can go into the prayer tent. We also going to have on stage demonstration. You have local hairstylists is going to do their thing, makeup artists. So we have a full day with health and beauty, and also on the other end we have a kids jamboree. So the kids they have games to play. They have free games, because we know again the cost. So we are going to give the kids a chance to participate in the free games, so they can win tickets, so they can participate in the pay game. So we want to make it an all-around beautiful day for the people of Tobago. We just want to give that back, because we know how trying those last 2 years were.
Certainly. And before we unpack those events a bit more and get into a little bit of detail, I want to know a little bit about what is Extra Touch Health, right? What is it about?
Well, Extra Touch Health and Beauty, Extra Touch Health, Beauty and Beyond is a company in Florida, but most of we're here in the Beyond a lot of times, which is we're giving back in terms of what we do with this expo. Also, we have done other things like after there are hurricanes or stuff within the island, we go in and take care packages for the kids. And what happened when we were closed down in 2020, one of the things that we did, we looked and saw that some of the kids did not have tablets to school. So myself and a group of friends, we decided to campaign, and we were able to get 125 tablets to send to schools here in Tobago. And as a result of that, somebody from Africa saw that. So we have now branched off to Africa, where we have a skills training center. So many things are happening in the realm with the beyond part. But the health part is really about screening, because one of the things that I've learned a long time ago, that people, I normally won't get people leaving home and say, oh, we're going down to get our blood pressure checked. But if they're in a happy event, beauty, expo, they're like, oh, let me go over and get my blood pressure checked. And then we know this person have high blood pressure. The goal is to move them into what is already here. Get them into the health center, because this is the stuff that's going to sustain you. We're going to take your blood pressure, but that's a one-time thing. You have to be able to go into what's already here. There's a system in place to work, and this is how you are going to do. We can't do anything about your race, your age, but we could do something about your behavior
and how you take care of your body. Now, I want you to tell me a little bit about how did you get connected with Tobago and why we were chosen as one of your outreach points.
Well, I am from Tobago, and there's this love there and this need for service. And I kept looking over the years for a pool of people that I could do this Glam Squad stuff in. And something flashed across my screen. I'm like, okay, let me look at community development skills program, and then here we are.
All right, great. And then one thing that stood out to me with your explanation about, what is the whole extra touch health about, is that inclusion of self-care and, just, getting your makeup done, seeing about your hair and all those things, and how that fits into your overall health. And I just want you to unpack that a little bit more.
Well, the thing about it, our body image, everybody women love to look good. Yes. And one of the things my sister always told me, that even in the Great Depression, lipstick always sold. Because you need that something to make you feel a little, boost your self-image. So I know women get excited when they do the beauty stuff. So that's the way of getting them in, so we could talk about health. Because another thing that struck me over the years is that my very first aesthetic teacher, I'm an esthetician also. I'm a nurse and an esthetician, so you see the bridge. So my very first aesthetic teacher was a nurse practitioner, and she said she used her chair to talk to women about women health, because she know they'll spend a whole lot of money getting all these expensive fillers and would not get a mammogram. So this is one of the reasons why I kind of bridge this together, so while we're happy, we're going to talk about the serious stuff.
Of course, and it's wonderful, great initiative. And for viewers who are hearing this and you're getting excited, how can they get involved and how they can get connected?
They can, I now have a local number. I think it's 275-8998, or they can call Canis at 477-4242. or KL 368-8751. And I need to say this, that I couldn't do this because other than the people that's here supporting me. Natalie has been amazing. And so Natalie runs the Glam Squad group, and Canis is the brains behind everything else that we do. So and then we have KL and Pearl and other persons that help in between. And also this year, I'll put everybody in there. This year, because we're doing the long-term care stuff, I wanted to do it, and I was saying I couldn't do it. Then my cousin said, I'll take that. So the elderly cases packages are sponsored by my cousin, and so we could be able to. So it's a village, and that's the theme of it. It's a village. We use everybody in the village. Like, I bring this, I bring that. Let's see how we can make the community better as a whole.
And where is this happening?
The Glam Squad is happening at the Community Development Building on Saturday, 6 to 9, p.m. And the expo is happening at the Milford Court Park in Canaan Bonaccord. We're going to open at 10, but 10:30 is when we're going to really start rolling out everything. So come in, we have booths, food, people showing their skills while they're there. Kids have stuff to play. I mean, it's just going to be a fun day.
All right, great, and something certainly to look forward for. I want to thank you so much, Ms. Baines, for being on with us this morning and for sharing about it. And we hope that you viewers can get connected, especially us women out there. You know, it's a chance to, you know, see about the outside and the inside. All right, so well, viewers, that's about it for our show this morning. We thank you so much for viewing and for sticking it out with us. And we will see you again in the morning. In the meantime, have a wonderful, safe, and productive day.
The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.